What's up, guys? Sean here. Welcome to Blades and Fades. Today I have a new knife to show you guys, and it is not the Hinderer. This is a new Microtech, guys. This is one that I've wanted to get my hands on for a long time now, but they are somewhat hard to acquire. You can find them on the secondary market, like eBay, or on sale groups. I ended up coming across this one, and it happened to be the exact variant that I was looking for and had wanted, so I had to hop on it. So I'm not gonna make you guys wait any longer. Let's check it out. Here she is. Now this is the Microtech Socom Elite. Right here we have the stone-washed Tanto Edge version in M390 blade steel, and this one was manufactured in February of 2018. This is a big knife, guys. We have a 4-inch blade with a 3.75-inch cutting edge, which is something that I like a lot. I really tend to like knives that have at least 3 inches of cutting edge a lot more than knives that don't. We have a 5-inch handle, 5-inch closed length. The handle scales are aluminum, and I think in 2018 they updated the Socom Elite from the 60-65 aircraft aluminum to 70-75 aircraft aluminum, which is not very common when it comes to aluminum knife scales. You rarely see 70-75 used, and it is a more superior type of aluminum, much stronger, so that's very cool to see. This knife is a liner lock, and as you can see, it's relatively easy to access. It's not excellent access to the liner lock because it's kind of down in there. It doesn't really stick up much at all, so you kind of have to dig your thumb down into there, and it has some pretty good tension on it. So one thing I'm thankful for is that all the jimping on this knife is not sharp. It's done very well. So even though you have to jam your finger or your thumb down into there, at least it's not cutting you up, tearing your skin up. This knife is configured as right hand tip down only. There is no options for tip up on either side, nor is there any clip mounting options for left hand carry. This knife comes in weighing 5.6 ounces, has a blade thickness of 19 thousandths. It has a blade width of 1.13 inches. It has a handle thickness of 0.55 inches. This knife is on ceramic bearings, so it is very, very smooth. Excellent action. Very snappy, smooth, fast deployment. And when this blade deploys and your thumb studs right here are double acting as not only thumb studs, but they are also acting as the blade stop. So that hits these aluminum scales, which is kind of a somewhat enclosed construction, and it just, it feels like a thud. You get that recoil in your hand, especially with this 4-inch blade, and you have this nice thick grind up here for your Tanto. So the Tanto version is going to be a little bit heavier than your clip point version, but that also adds to the how nice the action is on this particular variant right here. So I have not had a nice Tanto edge knife in my collection for a while now, and that's something that I've really been looking into, and something about Microtech Tanto edge knives just really appeals to me. I think the way that they do their Tanto edges is very, very nice. I like how they bring it way out to kind of like a very pointy, stabby kind of tip. And then, you have this nice long flat. You have a nice secondary grind. It's, a little bit of a swedge going on up here. It's very aesthetically pleasing, to say the least. You have some jimping back here on the back of the handle, and then you also can do a closer up position on the knife and get on top of this jimping right here in the front, and that is my personal favorite. Well, actually, yeah, you definitely have a lot better control with your thumb up over this hump, and it is also still very comfortable right there. Feels very natural, and I like that you have this groove set in right here, which is cool because that lines you up with the thumb stud, kind of like a muscle memory thing, because this is designed as a tactical knife. So it's designed with self-defense capabilities in mind. So you pull it. The reason that it is tip down only is because with this knife specifically, that is the quickest way to be able to deploy this knife is by having the clip mounted right there. When you pull it out of your pocket, you're right there in the position, and you feel that groove without even having to look for it, and you just push, you just follow the groove forward, and the blade flies out effortlessly. Now, this does not have a weak detent. When I say it flies out effortlessly, it has to do with the geometry and the design. Them having the thumb stud right at this location, the height of it, the distance from the pivot point, all those things are factors in the amount of, I guess this is where you have the maximum amount of leverage to overcome that detent. So you have a nice, solid, strong detent, but right here is where you have maximum leverage to overcome it, making that blade fire out so nicely. Another thing that you cannot miss on this knife, and it's very unique to it, is the sound. This knife has a very cool sound, very authoritative, you could say. When it snaps out, it sounds, when you deploy this, this knife means business. This knife is going to be a tank. It's not necessarily saying that all knives that have that sound are going to be a tank, but this one, you saw how smooth that action is. There is absolutely zero blade play in this, not even the slightest amount. If I'm cranking on this blade as hard as I can, back and forth, when I say zero, there is zero blade play. Lockup is about, 30-40%, and it's a very, very solid lockup. Once you get it past the detent, it is a free dropper. Just like all Microtechs, this one has the glass breaker on the bottom, which on their out the front knives, I don't like how big and, you know, kind of obtrusive they are. I think it looks kind of ugly on those. However, on this, it's very subtle and, you know, doesn't really stick out like a sore thumb too much. I think the overall aesthetic of this knife and, you know, all the decisions they made design-wise just goes together very well. You have a super thick pivot, which is another thing that I'm a fan of. That's going to offer a lot of strength. There's a ton of videos demonstrating the strength and capabilities of these knives, and they are far beyond anything that I would be putting this knife through. Even, you know, at the hardest of uses that I could do to this, is not going to phase this. Believe it or not, I got this knife 2 days ago, and today I was helping build a swing set for my kids, and I, you know, used the crap out of this knife. After we got done everything, I came in, cleaned it up, and you cannot even tell, if I didn't tell you, that this thing was even used in the first place. I mean, that is remarkable. That is definitely, you know, one of the first signs that you have a very well-made, very durable, quality piece of cutlery. So, props to Microtech for that. This knife design has actually been around for 25 years. The first Socom Elite came out in 1996, and since then there has been some updates and changes made to it, but the overall design and theme is still the same. I know the older versions were on washers instead of bearings. Bearings is kind of a newer thing, which I have not handled one of the older ones. I've heard nothing but good things about them. However, this is absolutely excellent. I have zero complaints as far as the action, smoothness, the stability in the pivot. Sometimes with knives on bearings, it'll cause it to have less stability, and, you know, you can feel some kind of flex and play due to less surface area contact, you know, between the blade and the scales, because you have, you know, bearings spaced out versus a washer that is 100% contact patch between both. So that's obviously gonna offer the maximum stability. But this is 100% stable. With it closed, I cannot push this blade, you know, anywhere, side to side. It is staying in place. It's perfectly centered. Kind of hard to tell with this lighting, but it comes very close to the scales on both sides. So it's nice, tight tolerances. I like to see that, especially when, you know, the price tag is what it is on something like this. That's just little fine details like that really, you know, make you feel like you're getting the knife that you paid for. And let's see, what else can I say about this one? This texturing in here on the old models, original ones, I know that it was like a grip tape, skateboard tape, And now with these newer ones, it is not, it is actually a rubberized, it's like a rubberized insert, and it feels kind of like a stippling. If you guys are, you know, shooters and you're into, you know, modifying handguns and stuff, it's usually pretty common with like polymer frame handguns like Glocks. People will shave off the original, you know, grip to it and shape, basically reshape it how, you know, they prefer it, and then they stipple it either with laser, or I even did mine with a soldering iron and, you know, a really fine tip, and you're just making a million little dots and connecting them all, and basically you end up with something that looks like that. So it's actually something that you can do yourself, but I recommend definitely practicing on, you know, something else first. So yeah, this is kind of a first impressions. I've had a little bit of time with this knife, you know, 2 days so far, so I can't make, you know, any long-term conclusions yet, but, you know, my first impressions of this knife have been extremely good. I was actually very impressed. This knife has actually exceeded all my expectations and the hype, you know, so that's the thing with knives like these that are, you know, held in such high regard among the knife community, is sometimes, you know, a knife will be held in such high regard and kind of get hyped up to the point where you're expecting it to be something, and then you receive it and it just doesn't live up to those expectations. But with this knife, that was not the case, and I was very happy to find that. It's very, very addictive. Just the feeling of that blade deploying is very, very nice. I can also reverse flick it. And oh yeah, let's talk cutting performance. So this knife has a thick blade stock, has a thick grind, and believe it or not, this thing cuts pretty damn good. And I mean, of course you want your knife to cut good, but sometimes with a harder used knife, it's not going to be, you know, as slicey as something with a thinner blade stock and a thinner grind and thinner behind the edge. So this one actually surprised me, especially with stuff like cardboard. I was breaking down some boxes earlier, and this thing went through a lot easier than I expected. So I was very impressed with that. And another thing about this Tanto, with it coming to, you know, in to a more narrow point instead of, you know, just coming up at a steep angle, is that also allows this knife to have better penetration capabilities, which works for, you know, defense purposes, but also utility tasks. This tip gets into packaging, boxes, pretty much anything very easily, and also with a lot more control than I expected it to. You know, there's some knives that when you're doing cutting tasks, even though you might be trying your hardest to control where you're going with the knife, and it seems like the knife kind of wants to do its own thing and take its own path. Well, with this one, I found that that was not the case, and this actually, you know, cut exactly where I intended to cut and did not stray from that path. So that was pretty cool. very nice stone washing on here. It has done a very good job at not allowing any of the wear to show up so far. So yeah, guys, this is an awesome knife. If you have the chance to get your hands on one of these, I highly, highly recommend it. I already can tell this is going to be one of my all-time favorites, and this thing is going to see a lot of pocket time. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see next. And if you like what I'm doing here, and you want to see more content like this, hit the like button for me, subscribe to my channel so you can see all my future content. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments below what you think I could do different to make this content better. And yeah, I love getting feedback from you guys. I try to reply to everybody's comments, and I always love, you know, seeing what other people think about, you know, these knives that I'm reviewing and talking about, and, you know, just able to enjoy the hobby together. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.